Hello everyone, and welcome to Landric Plays. Today I'm going to be playing some Darkest Dungeon from Red Hook Studios. Darkest Dungeon is a sort of indie, turn-based RPG roguelike. That, if I had to describe, I would call it a cross between HP Lovecraft and XCOM. So if that sort of thing tickles your fancy, then stick with me and we'll play a little bit of it. The story so far is we've received a letter from our ancestor, essentially his last will and testament, that says he's frittered away the family fortune on women and drink and hedonism and all of that sort of thing. And then when he got bored of that, he turned to studying dark magic in a quest for ultimate power. And as you can see, it's not gone fantastically. The family mansion lies in ruins, the surrounding countryside is infested with monsters, and it's down to us to sort everything all out. So, if we hit campaign, I've already got a save game active, but I'm going to start a fresh one just for this. We'll call this one the Landric Estate, and then we'll jump into the game.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
Okay, so we're on our way to the manor. And one of the things I really like about this game is sort of like the aesthetic and like the voice acting and just how it all sort of like ties in together to give you a really nice sort of horror-fueled atmosphere. So, with the stagecoach destroyed and the caretaker gone, we're going to have to make the journey to the hamlet on foot. So the game starts off with a sort of like built-in tutorial. Here's the stagecoach. Here's our party members. We've got Reynault, who's the crusader, and we've got Dismas, who's the highwayman, and this is sort of like the dungeon view. So we're going to spend about 50% of our time off on missions and about 50% of our time in the hamlet, sort of recouping and sort of building up our resources and things like that. So this is the map over here. We've got the room we're in right now, we've got this corridor, and we've got another room. So we're going to head to that room by clicking on it.
Brigands have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The hamlet is just ahead.
Thank you for that, narrator. Great, so we're going to wander along this corridor, and I'm sure everything's going to be fine. We're just going to sort of walk here, and then we'll get here, and then we'll be there, and everything will be absolutely fine. We're not going to run into any bandits or anything. That would... Oh no! A bandit.
That all may hear of your arrival.
So, this is the combat screen. We're turn-based. We're going to take it in turns to wail on each other. And let's have a look at Dismas. So Dismas is a highwayman. We've got 4 skills, but right now we can only use 2 of them. This Open Vein and the Grape Shot Blast. And the reason for that is, if you look at the little dots beneath the skill, we've got the little yellow dots to the left, which mean we can only use the skill from that position. So in this case, we can only use this if we're in the middle of our party. We've only got 2 party members right now, but later on we'll have 4. So if we look at this skill here, we can only use this if we're at the back, which we are, but we can only use it to target, which is those red dots on the right, people at the back of the enemy party. And because there's only 1 right now, he counts as being at the front, so we can't use this. So instead we'll just use Open Vein, which is just a melee skill. We'll attack him. Ah, he dodged. And he gets to go next. So he's done a little bit of damage to us. Okay, Reynault, show us what you've got. We're going to smite him. Deals a reasonable amount of damage. Round 2. Okay, Dismas, come on. There we go. Fantastic. Oh, and we found a stack of treasure. Brilliant. So we're going to grab that, goes into our inventory, and then we're just going to keep walking along. And we've come across our first sort of curiosity. So we found the bandit's tent. We can search this for some loot. And they left some valuables behind. Fantastic. A little bit more gold.
There is much to be found in forgotten places.
So you might have just noticed it's gotten slightly darker in here. This bar up here represents the torchlight. So the darkest in Darkest Dungeon is actually quite important. The longer you explore, the darker things get. And the darker things get, the more likely you are to be attacked, the more likely you are to be surprised, but the more treasure you're likely to find. So it's sort of a trade-off whether you want to keep the lights on and keep yourself a bit safe, or whether you want to risk it and go deeper. So we're going to go into the room now.
An ambush. Send these vermin a message. The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
That's right, we are back. So these two enemies are surprised, which means essentially we get to go first. And I think they skipped their first. No, it just means that all of our guys will go before all of their guys. So this big burly chap, the Brigand Bloodletter, he actually takes up 2 party slots. So you can see Grape Shot Blast hits the first 3 enemies. So we'll hit him. We don't actually get extra damage from hitting him twice, but we'll hit him and this Brigand Fusilier at the back. So let's give that a go. So we've done a little bit of damage. It's sort of spread out. It's not fantastic because it means we're sort of spreading our damage out a little bit. So we're gonna have Reynold just focus fire on this big lad in the front because he can't get to the Fusilier at the back. 10 damage, not too bad at all. So we've had our go, they're gonna have their goes. So he basically uses his own Grape Shot Blast, and then Rain of Whips again does a little bit of damage to us. And that right there is stress. So he's done some regular damage. Ooh, they're going again first, okay. So he did some regular damage, and he's done some sort of stress damage as well. And we're going to get a little bit more there. Stress shows up just below our health bars, and it will go up. If it ever reaches full in the course of a single mission, then we will get some bad traits. So we're going to try and stop that from happening. Dismas here is also bleeding, which isn't fantastic. It means he's going to take 1 damage per round for 2 rounds. And he's also got a debuff of -4 dodge, which is not great. So instead of doing the Grape Shot again, and spreading our damage, I'm going to try and focus fire on this big burly chap here. So we'll do some damage, and we bleed him. Fantastic. So he's going to take some extra damage. Maybe if we're lucky, Reynold will finish him off. So we've done 11, but he's going to bleed on the next round. So if we're lucky... So we don't actually need to worry about him right now. We know he's about to die because he's bleeding and he's got 1 health left. So instead we can use Pistol Shot to just target this guy at the back. There we go, there he goes. And let's see if we can kill this guy before he does any more damage. Fantastic. Oh, brilliant! And we've got some loot. So we've got some gems, which get converted to money when we get out of here. We've got some gold that just goes in our pile of gold, and we've got a portrait, which is a family heirloom, which we can use to upgrade the hamlet when we get back. So quest complete. But there's a chest right here, so let's continue adventuring. Let's examine this. This says it's a trapped chest. Something doesn't look quite right. Well, you know, we'll gamble. We'll try opening it. Oh no, it's trapped. And we've got another status effect, Blight. So at the end, we can leave the dungeon right now because we've reached the end of it. These status effects all get cleared up at the end of the mission. We all get returned to full health, but the stress lingers, which isn't fantastic. So the more missions you do, the more stressed your characters are going to get overall. And we get like a little a summary of how we did. So we didn't actually ever use this food throughout the course of the dungeon, so we get to sell it afterwards. We sell the gems automatically, and we got a reward of 5,000 gold pieces just for showing up. Fantastic. And we got an heirloom, which isn't too bad either. So our party members both got 2 XP, which puts them closer towards getting the level, and Reynold has got some sort of trait. So if we click on this, it's in red, which means it's a bad trait. Reynault is now obsessed with the paranormal, which means if he finds a curiosity in a dungeon that's related to the paranormal, he's going to get his grubby mitts all over it, whether we want him to or not. And we'll see how that sort of pans out for us later on. But now we can return to town. And here we go, this is what the hamlet looks like. This is, or rather, what the hamlet should look like. This is the village at the base of our...
Such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now. And you are bound to them.
That's right, the hamlet's mine now, and, you know, it didn't look so bad. It looks quite nice, and if we just close this... Oh, would you look at that. The hamlet is quite squalid after all. Everywhere's boarded up. We can't use any of it. We're going to have to put in some serious work to this place before it becomes that sort of quaint little picturesque village that you saw in the loading screen. So if we go back to... that's the glossary. If we go back to this screen, we can see the caretaker's goals. We've got some quests, so complete your first foray into the ruins, defeat some bosses, lots and lots of things like that. And we can see how our first week went. Week 1, we arrived. Dismas is an apprentice, Reynolds an apprentice. They've escorted us to the hamlet. Fantastic. So let's explore the parts of our hamlet that we can interact with. So first, there's the graveyard.
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
Hopefully we won't have to visit there too often, but I suspect we probably will. Losing is fun after all. We've got the memoirs.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
And here we can just sort of review some of the cutscenes we've seen. And the last thing that we can look at right here is the stagecoach, which is where we recruit new heroes from.
Women and men, soldiers and outlaws, fools and corpses. All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
That's right, we've cleared the road. We're going to get a slow but steady influx of people, adventurers seeking their fortune, and boy are they going to be disappointed. So we've got 2 potential recruits here. We've got a plague doctor and a vestal, which is a bit like a sort of a priest or a cleric. So we're going to add them to our roster.
Than the blood-soaked battlefield.
And now the stagecoach is empty. We can't recruit anyone more until after the next quest. But what we can do is upgrade the stagecoach. So we can spend some of our heirlooms. So we've got a stack of busts, portraits, deeds, and crests that we're going to use to spend to upgrade our hamlet. And the first thing we're going to do is... Well, we could increase the size of the roster. So right now we're only allowed to have 9 people sort of on retainer at any one time. But, you know, we've only got 4. We don't need to worry about increasing this. So let's increase the number of available heroes per day. So when we come back, we'll have a wider selection of recruits. In fact, I tell you what, let's upgrade both while we're here. Why not?
More arrive, foolishly seeking fortune and glory in this domain of the damned.
So our roster size has gone up to 12, which means essentially we can have 3 separate teams on the go at once. We can sort of rotate them out. Good, so there's nothing left to do in the village. So there are some different buildings, but they're all locked right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and embark.
A mecca of madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
Yes, it does. So this is the sort of almost like the tactical map, if you like. This is the map of the estate. Up here is the darkest dungeon. This is the family mansion. This is the end goal. We're going to try and get here and recover our birthright, essentially. If we click on this, it's suicide. Going here right now would be a terrible mistake. So instead, we're going to pick this easy mission over here. It's short, it's suitable for level 1 characters, which all of our characters are. In fact, some are level 0, which isn't fantastic. And the goal is to explore 90% of the rooms, and we'll get some rewards for doing it. So this is a good place to start. So we can put down our party member like this, the usual suspects. So some certain party combinations get a little special title like this. And as you can see, the order in which we put our party is important because it will affect their skills. So if we take a look at Tagsok, or Tang, Tangsock. So they've got some traits already. They have the Last Gasp, +1 speed if their health is below 50, and 20% scouting chance while in the Weald, which is a shame because we're not going to the Weald, but oh well. And minus 10% stress heal, so she's going to get even more stressed even more quickly. Not great, but you know, we'll make do with what we've got right now. So she's got a Mace Bash, so she can use it from the front, Divine Heal, which she can use from the back, Divine Comfort, which she can use from the back, and Hand of Light, which she can use from the front, which debuffs somebody. So you can see her preferred position is, it's sort of here in position 2, and her preferred targets are right at the front. However, I don't think we need to use her for attack. We've got quite a lot of damage dealers already. I think I'm going to leave her at the back and just use her for basically just healing and nothing else. That's going to be her job. Keep everyone alive. Then we've got Brennan, who's a Plague Doctor. They've got some quirks as well. So they're steady, so they actually don't take as much stress, which is great. They've got a natural swing, so they're more accurate. But they are not very good at ranged skills, which is a shame because right now most of their skills are ranged. Yep, ranged, a heal, a buff, and ranged. So both their offensive skills are ranged. Great. Okay, well we'll see how we do with that. Later on we'll be able to unlock some of these skills when we unlock some of those buildings in the hamlet. So we'll worry about that when we get there. Right now, preferred position, yeah, at the back, so we're going to leave them there. And we'll leave Dismas and Renault where they go. Oh, these start with some traits as well. So he is a Warrior of Light, which means he does extra damage if there's more light. He's got the Paranormania. He's a Kleptomaniac, which means sometimes he'll steal the treasure. And he's God-fearing, which means in town, the only way to decrease his stress is to get him to pray. And we'll take a quick look at Dismas's as well. He's got Hard Noggin, he's more resistant to stuns, 2 speed, that's pretty good, and he's a known cheat, which means when in town he's not allowed to gamble. But again, all the buildings are locked, so we won't worry about that right now. So, we've got our party set up, the usual suspects. Next step is to provision.
The cost of preparedness, measured now in gold, later in blood.
Yeah, quite. So we're going to buy some supplies to take with us into the dungeon. So because we've got a Plague Doctor, we get some anti-venom for free. We've got a Vestal, which means we get the Holy Water for free. And I'm going to take some food because it's only a short run, so we'll probably be fine with 4. I'll tell you what, I'll take 8 just to be sure. We can always sell it back for a fraction of the buy price. I'm going to take a shovel just in case we run into some obstacles. And I'm going to take 8 torches, just to keep things nice and light as we're walking around. So we can take some other things, bandages, medicinal herbs. I think I'm going to take a key as well, just in case we find a strongbox or a secret door or something like that. Having this around might get us a little bit of extra treasure. Of course, we might have just paid 200 gold for nothing, but we'll see. It's better to be prepared. And then we can embark. So, our first expedition into the ruins of your ancestry. So this isn't the ruins of the mansion, this is I think the crypt and sort of the catacombs. So, our job is to explore this and then return to town, and that's it. Okay, so here we are, here's the map. You can see this map is much bigger than the one we were previously in. We're starting here, and we can probably just go up here. In fact, we can probably go around like this and just skip this room, because we only have to explore 90%. Now, we can leave the dungeon at any time we want and abandon the quest. If we abandon the quest, though, we'll gain a lot of stress, because people don't like failing in their missions. So let's walk down the corridor. You can see the torch is going down already, but we found a torch bracket, and we get a free torch. That's handy. Let's grab that.
With loot are often low on supplies.
And in fact, it's just ticked below that level, and because I don't want to be surprised, and because our Crusader does extra damage when he's on full light, I'm going to light that torch just to keep things nice and bright. So let's go into this room. Aha! Some skeletons. Okay, this is our first real taste of combat. So let's take a look at our skills. We've got Disorientating Blast, which affects the... so I can target the back line, which shuffles an enemy, which means they'll change position. It has a chance to stun them, and it will clear any corpses that are left on the field that are blocking us. For now though, I'm going to use Emboldening Vapors. I think I'm going to buff Reynolds. Because he's a Crusader anyway, he's going to deal bonus damage to unholy creatures. Now let's see. So this is a skeleton, which means he, as you can see at the bottom, he's got a 200% resistance to bleed, because he doesn't have any blood. So this will do some damage, but it won't bleed him. See, it resists. But you know, that's fine, it did enough. You can't really do anything right now. If we skip your turn though, you'll suffer some stress, so we'll just heal somebody for no reason, that's fine. Bump in the night, he gets hit with a club. And I think we could use this Zealous Accusation here actually. It does slightly less damage, but it affects both people at the front, so hopefully it'll kill this guy and do some damage to this guy. Yeah, he's only got 2 health left. Let's give it a shot. Oh, perfect. And you see, this guy has left a corpse, which means he still takes up that slot. So if we use the Disorientating Blast now on this guy, so it might actually kill him, but regardless, so it stuns him and it removes that corpse. Just keep Reynolds topped up. And then he can use his Smite, which misses, which isn't fantastic, but it's alright, Dismas has got it covered, there we go. Got some gold, and we'll just take a quick look in this box. It's unlocked, so we don't need to use our key. And the contents are ours. We've got a shovel, a torch, and some money, fantastic. So, head to the next room. Aha! So we've come across some rubble. Now we could dig through this by hand. That's right, the cold stone is preventing passage. Now we could try and dig through this by hand, but it would take longer, the torch would burn down more, and everyone would get a bit stressed. But we've got a shovel, in fact we've got 2 shovels, so we can just use that there and clear it. Oh no. So we've got 3 enemies this time, we've got 2 skeletons and a cultist. So that didn't do a lot of damage, but it's pushed him to the back, which means a lot of his skills are actually going to be relatively useless here. So we want to move him back to the front, which wastes his turn, but it gets our position nice. So we use this Disorientating Blast as well for the stun chance on this guy, and it shuffles them around as well. So hopefully that will make their sort of tactics a little bit more awkward. Now this guy hasn't acted yet, and Reynolds still has this bonus damage versus Unholy. So I might be able to kill this guy in 1 hit before he can move. Ah. Close, but no cigar. So his stun's 1 off, which means it's this guy's go now. And you can see, because this guy was stunned last turn, he's got an 80% stun resist this turn, so we can't constantly keep him stun locked. So let's remove that guy from the picture. Another Eldritch push, which is fine, it doesn't do a lot of damage, and he resisted, which is pretty good. I tell you what, we'll heal that 1 damage you took. So we could use this Plague Grenade, which will only affect this guy. It affects the last 2 slots, but there's only 3 people here. And it can blight him. Now this guy might have 200% bleed resist, but he's only got 10% blight resist. So blight's like a sort of poison. Aha! So we got a critical hit. We got a critical hit for 1 damage, but that's fine. And it meant everyone lost a little bit of stress, which is good. Their stress has gone down because they're so brave and fearless. Ah, that's less good. So round 3. Now Dismas can attack this cultist. He can try to attack this cultist at least. I'll tell you what, we'll stack up this guy's blight. He's only got 3. Actually, he's only got 3 HP left, and the blight's going to do 4 damage. So we're going to try and stun the cultist instead. Oh, which clears that body that was in the way as well. so we don't need to worry about him. He'll die of his own turn.
The weapon that cuts on its own.
And because it was the blight that killed him, he doesn't leave a body.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
That's right, confidence indeed. So we found some more heirlooms
Remind
and some more
yourself
gold.
that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
True, true. We don't want to get too overconfident. Okay, this room's empty, so let's have a look at the map. And we'll go up here. Ooh, a pack. And because Renault's a kleptomaniac, he's grabbed it. And he's keeping it for himself. So that was a key and some extra food. That would have been useful, Renault. What do you got to go and do that for? You big old jerk. Okay, so we've got... so this time we were surprised, which means we get shuffled around. So we don't necessarily act last. Oh dear. But it sort of reorders our party and it makes things a little bit more awkward for us. Especially the fact that Renault, our big sort of damage-y dealing tank, is at the back. So we're going to have to sort that out. Dismas is in the right place though. So I'm just going to open up with an attack on this guy, because this guy is going to cause us some problems if we're not careful. I'm going to try... In fact, no, you're just going to move... So you can't move very fast, that's the problem. No, you're going to stun somebody. You're going to stun this guy. And hopefully you're going to sort of mitigate some of the damage while we're moving around. Rend for the old gods. So he's going to do some damage and a bleed. It's fine, we've got a healer, we can deal with this. For now you're actually just going to switch, get Renault a little bit closer to the front, one at a time, there we go. There will be plenty of blood left for the leeches, don't be such a baby. There we go. Now our Crusader is in position and he resisted the push. Good, that would have been really annoying if it had not. I'm actually going to use the Grape Shot Blast here and sort of spread some of the damage across. We've got 3 targets, hopefully it'll be worthwhile. One of them dodged, not fantastic, but well, it'll do. So I'll just keep you topped up with health. In fact, this isn't too bad a party order. Oop, more damage coming out. But he resisted the debuff and the bleed. There we go. Let's see, you've got 2 health and you're taking 2 damage a turn, so I don't have to worry about you anymore. Start dealing some damage to you. I'm going to switch you 2 around there, and then you're going to Grape Shot again.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
Do some more healing. That's going to be her main role from now on. Just constantly keeping everyone topped up. See, 8 damage. That's actually pretty bad. We're going to have to take them out as fast as we can, but that's not going to help if they keep dodging. More Grape Shot.
Press this advantage. Give them no
Well, that's 1 down at least. So he was the biggest damage dealing threat, but this cultist can cast spells which make us stressed. So yeah, we're going to try and stun her again. Which clears those corpses as well, which is sort of handy. Stressful incantation. Yeah, so it only does 1 damage, but it causes 18 stress. And you can see it's very, very slowly going up. And we're only, this is the 3rd room, so not great. So we'll do a little party-wide heal, and then we'll focus some more on this Plague Doctor. Oh, Renault, come on. We're counting on you, man. Oh, okay, you can actually cure Blight and Bleed. I did not notice that before. Oh, we'll just do +1 health. And then you can get the final blow. Fantastic. It's got some more gems, got some more gold, and a journal page.
Promises success.
Let's take a look at that. The Blackest of Fates. So this is page 4 of 5, and this is one of our ancestors' journals. I now find myself back in the Warrens, among the remains of my companions. My wounds are too severe to allow the completion of my task. Thus, the desecration must resume another time. Curious, there is a ring in my pocket. Where it came from I cannot begin to guess, though it bears the sigil of the estate's ancestral owner. Very curious. Okay, so maybe it's not from our ancestor. Somebody else who's been in the Warrens underneath our home. So let's crack open this chest. It's got some heirlooms inside it, hopefully, and we can use our skeleton key to unlock a hidden compartment, which just sort of, I think it guarantees slightly better loot, or ensures it's not trapped, I'm not sure. So we've got some medicinal herbs that cure debuffs, and some more treasure in heirlooms, fantastic. Okay, so we're in the 4th room right now. We'll get to this one. And we'll probably just skip this one, because we don't have to... Ooh, we hit a trap. But we dodged it, so that's okay. Add some more light. Let's see if there's anything in here. Ah, we got a scouting bonus. So this just reveals some stuff in the rooms. So in here, we've got a trap in the corridor, and this has a battle in this room with a curio, so a chest or a cabinet or a shrine or something like that. So we could actually directly go to this to try and interact with that curio, or we can skip it because we know there's a battle in there. We're taking a little bit of damage and stress, so we can just avoid that and go straight to this empty room here, which hopefully will be enough. We've got a bag. Is Renault going to steal it? No. Contains some loot. Ah, a lot of food. A bust, which is another heirloom, and some more jade. Torch is going down again. Let's just keep it nice and topped up. I'm not going to try and let it go too low right now. Hunger. The exertions of adventuring have produced a growing hunger amongst the party. So they're quite hungry right now, so we can choose to give them some food, which so they eat 1 each, and they regain 5% of their health. Or we can eat nothing, which takes 20% damage, plus stress damage. We definitely don't want that. This is why we always want to make sure we've got some supplies. That's why I went a little bit overkill by bringing 8 with us. Especially we got lucky and found some extra. Wait, let's collect ourselves. Oop, there we go. So we knew this room would be empty. And we got another scouting bonus, so da-da-da-da. So there's an obstacle here. And this room has a treasure in it. So of these 2 rooms, this is definitely the one we want to go and explore. Because the corridor should be empty apart from that obstacle, and we've still got a shovel in our pack, so we can just get that out of the way. And then the final battle, hopefully, of this dungeon. Just keep that topped up.
The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
Okay, so the good news is they're surprised. The bad news is there are 4 of them, and this guy looks quite tricky. You can see they've got an archer at the back, a courtier who sort of who doesn't do a lot of damage, but again causes a lot of stress, and 2 sort of burly chaps in the front. So I could try and sort of spread some damage across this, but I think what I'm actually going to do is use the pistol shot and just focus my fire on this guy in the middle. Never mind then. I tell you what, in that case, let's if we use this disorientating blast, that'll. Oh, he resisted the movement. He resisted the stun. Not great. You can't do anything, so I'll just do a mass heal. I should have just healed that guy. He was the only one wounded. Oh well. So he's got 15 health. He's got 10 health. So this guy is probably a bigger threat, but if we're lucky, we can kill this guy in 1 hit.
Executed with impunity.
There we go. So there you go. 2 damage and 17 stress. He's about halfway there now. So it says 53 out of 200, but that's because that bar can fill up twice. So when he gets to 100, he'll get a bad trait. I think when he gets to 200, he suffers a heart attack and has a potential chance of dying. That's very bad. So we're going to try and keep this as low as possible. But if it fills up once, it's not the end of the world. Where are we? Actually, we could use this plague grenade and blight both of these guys. It won't do a lot of damage, it only does 1 each, but it blights them. And there you go, 4 damage per round. So that's actually a pretty good skill. It's a shame he's not great at ranged, because it means he's going to miss that most of the time. But we've got a critical heal on him, which actually heals some of the stress. Perfect. We're going to keep trying to shoot this guy. There we go. So he's going to die on his next turn. Oop, so he gets pushed back, but he resists the stun. And Renault counters with a 9. Okay, so we don't have to worry about shooting him anymore because he's likely to die anyway. We'll pile some damage on the big lad. Oh, we missed. So it wasn't even that he dodged that time, we just completely missed. Not fantastic.
Slow death. Unforeseen.
This time we'll give Dismas a little bit of a heal. And again, I think we're going to use the Zealous Accusation and damage both of these guys at once. Because that should bring him down low enough that the Blight will kill him next round. If we're lucky, we'll stun this guy. Yep. So fantastic. So he dies on his turn, he's stunned on his turn. So I think this... There we go. So, we've got quite a few heirlooms for that, and a little bit of gold. Quest complete. But there's a chest, so we'll stick around. We don't have a key anymore, but we'll just crack it open, and we'll hope it's... we'll hope it's not trapped. So he's bleeding, but you know, that's fine. It's the end of the adventure, we don't have to worry about it. We could backtrack if we wanted, but I think for now we're just going to head back to the hamlet. And there you go, there's the little bit of a breakdown. So we got 3,000 gold, we got 4 crests, and we got a charm that gives us some blight resist. So this makes people resistant to receiving blight. This is all the treasure we collected and like the unused food we had, which came to 2,000 gold, and all the heirlooms, which we can go and spend on the hamlet. So everyone gets 2 XP. Dismas gains the trait Ablutomania, which means he's obsessed with cleanliness, and Weald Scrounger, so he's more likely to scout while we're in the Weald, which we've still not been to yet. And Brinnon gets Unholy Hater, which means he does extra damage versus Unholy, which is a shame because that would have been much more useful beforehand, but we'll take what we can get. And now we can go back to the hamlet.
Trouble yourself
And
with the cost of this crusade. Its noble end affords you broad tolerance in your choice of means.
That's right, the ends justify the means, according to our ancestor. Well, that's where we're going to wrap up this episode. I hope you've enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you again next time.